Hello boys and girls. Today we're going to look at parallel and perpendicular lines. What you're going to want to have on you, your notes, pen or a pencil, and then also a calculator today. Your learning goals. I can determine whether lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And I can write equations of lines parallel and perpendicular to other linear equations. Some vocabulary first of all. So very first thing we're going to talk about is parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines who never intersect, so if you draw two lines, they're just basically parallel to one another. They're going to have the same slope, so if I have two lines that are parallel to one another, I know their slope is going to be the same. There's such a thing called perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are lines who intersect at a 90-degree angle or a right angle. Their slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals of one another. Now you're probably saying, what does that mean? Well, opposite reciprocals is meaning that the slope is flipped and the sign has changed. So an example of this would be if I had the slope of 1/2 on one of my lines. Well, opposite reciprocal means I would flip my fraction around, 2/1, and change the sign. So if it had been a positive, it becomes negative. It's a negative, it becomes positive. So an opposite reciprocal would be, an opposite reciprocal of 1/2 would be -2. Let's look at first example, just classifying. So I have these two equations here, and I want to know, are they parallel to each other, are they perpendicular to each other, or are they neither? So very first thing I notice, he's not solved for y right here. Let's solve that one for y first. Then I'll be able to tell the slope really quickly. So it looks like I got to divide by 4. So y equals -5/4 x plus 12 divided by 4, which is 3. So I have y equals -5/4 x plus 3. So I'm solved for y. I can now pick out my slope. I'm not caring about my y-intercept. It could be 5 million for all I care. I'm looking only at the slope, -5/4. So if my other line is parallel to it, I would need to have a line that has a -5/4 also for my slope. That doesn't look like it's the case. It's 4/5. So I know it's not parallel. Let's try perpendicular. Well, to be perpendicular to it, it needs to be the opposite reciprocal. So basically flipped and changed. Flipped and negative. So I'm going to flip my number around, 4/5. And since it's a negative, it's going to now become a +4/5. Well, that's the slope. So I have two perpendicular lines to one another. Notice, guys, I didn't touch nor talk about the y-intercept. I really don't care about it. I only care about the slopes on these particular kinds of problems. Now, let's actually look at writing equations of parallel lines. This one, I have the line passes through 12/5, and I want the line parallel to the following graph. F of x equals 2/3 x minus 1. What equation represents the line in slope-intercept form? So very first thing, I need a line that's parallel to this particular line. So if it's parallel, I know that the slope of my new line is going to be 2/3 x. So I know I'm going to have a slope of 2/3. That's all this is good for. I'm not using this y-intercept at all. I'm just going to use m equals 2/3 because that is my new slope. Now I am told I have the point 12/5. Now it becomes writing the equation of the line. I'm going to use translated form. It goes 10 times faster for me. So I'm going to have f of x equals my slope, which is 2/3. And then inside, remember, we're going to go, since we're going to the right 12, we're going to say x minus 12, because remember it's backwards, and then we're going to go up 5. So now, since we want in slope-intercept form, I got to distribute this in. So I'm going to get 2/3 x, -24/3 it looks like, plus 5. Well, -24/3, that's -8. So I'm going to get 2/3 x plus, that should be -8, my bad. -8 plus 5. Or, once I combine my like terms, 2/3 x minus 3. Oops. Right there. Now, this one is the same problem, except I want something perpendicular to it. So basically what I'm going to do is just steal the slope, but it's not going to be the same this time, remember, because we're looking at perpendicular. So we're going to negative it and flip it. So I'm going to negative it, because it's positive, and then flip it. So I got negative 3/2 for my equation. Remember, we don't care about this now. I already stole my slope and changed it to what I needed. So now I'm going to use my point, just like we did up here, and my slope. So I got f of x equals negative 3/2, parenthesis, moved right 12, so it's going to be minus 12 plus 5. Let's do the inside. So I got negative 3/2 x plus 36/2, which is the same as 18. So I'll get negative 3/2 x plus 23 for my following equation. Let's try another example here. So I have this line, and it's going to pass through negative 3, negative 1, and it's going to be parallel to f of x equals 2x plus 3. And it asks, what's the equation of the line in slope-intercept form? So same thing, I'm just going to steal the slope from what I need. So it's parallel, so I'm just going to steal my slope, which is 2. So my m is 2. Now what I get to do is forget about this and make my new equation. So I have y equals 2x plus 3, because remember it's a negative, so it's going to be opposite, minus 1. Or 2x plus 6 minus 1, or, after I combine, 2x plus 5. That one was pretty quick. Let's try it with a perpendicular now. So that means I'm going to take my slope here, and I'm going to flip it and negative it. So my new slope is going to be flipped 1 over 2, because this is technically 2 over 1, right? And then negative it. So my new slope is negative 1/2. Let's go ahead and do the equation now. So f of x equals negative 1/2 x plus 3 minus 1. So negative 1/2 x minus 3/2, right? 3 times a half, negative half is negative 3/2, minus 1. Combine these two together, I'll get 1/2 x minus 5/2, because this is technically minus 2 over 2, so if I combine those, I get negative 5 over 2. Now, what if there's an equation that is not in y equals form? You can't steal the slope then. So what we're going to do is first get it into y equals form using our skills that we've been recently practicing. So I have x minus 3y equals 3. So I need to get it to y equals. So the very first thing I'm going to do is subtract x. So I get negative 3y equals negative x plus 3. Then it looks like I'm going to get y alone, so let's divide by negative 3. So y equals 1/3 x minus 1, right? Because technically I can make this negative x over negative 3 plus 3 over negative 3. So that will combine to make this. When you have an x over a number, it's just 1/3. So I have 1/3 x minus 1. So now I get to steal my slope, but I want something perpendicular. So my new slope is going to be negative 3. Now let's find the equation. Notice it doesn't ask for slope-intercept form, so I can leave it and be lazy. So my slope, got f of x equals negative 3 x minus 2 plus 4. I'm done. Doesn't say slope-intercept. I'm going to leave it like that. Let's try this other one. So this one's parallel and it's the same equation. So I get to steal this equation, right? Because I already solved for y above here, and it's the same equation between these two problems. So now my slope is 1/3 because I want something parallel to it. So I get to forget now about this and set up my equation. So f of x equals my slope, which is 1/3, and then x minus 2 plus 4. And we're going to leave it like that. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.